This is my 2008 Infiniti M45 Sport, and let's look under the hood. Well, you might not be able to tell much because of all the plastic that we have there, and at first glance I know it seems all cosmetic, but I'd like to inform you that plastic plays a pretty functional role with these vehicles. For one, we have a battery compartment over here, which houses not only the battery, but some other electronics as well, including the fuse box. So it would be in our best interest to prevent excessive intrusion of water and dust in such areas. Over here we have what I call the brake compartment, and it houses your brake fluid reservoir, your brake booster, and your ABS module over there. Obviously, you want to prevent excessive weathering or elements from getting to it, okay? These ones here, I'd say they're mostly cosmetic. This large piece over here that seems to be all cosmetic actually plays a pretty big function with regards to noise control. I know when you take it up, you're going to hear the engine noise into you, a little louder. It's because this thing is padded and designed to control noise. It's crazy. It's not just a random shape. But talking of which, we're going to step outside the engine bay and I'll show you other plastic pieces that are pretty important. Like this one here. This oddly shaped object is called an engine undertray, engine bottom cover, engine bottom shroud, among many other names. And like the name suggests, it protects the engine from the bottom. Let me pick it up. Let me show you what we have first. So this one here is my current or old one. It served about 190,000 miles and it's got the scars to show for it. You can see what the backside looks like. Some road rash. It was sagging. Some parts are chewed off. I think most of it though handled pretty well. And this one injury here is actually due to, I guess, an issue with the bumper cover, which happens to a lot of us, right? The plastic itself, okay, well, places like this maybe took a little bit of a beating, but again, not too bad. The places that stayed intact did not really have any issues. I liked it, it had certain holes in certain places, and although it did offer protective properties, whenever I had a power steering leak, I could see it because it made it to the bottom. And if you look right here, this is a part number for this one here, 75892 EJ90A. What I'm going to do though is share all the other part numbers in the description box of this video. I've been doing some research over the years and I have the part numbers for all the other vehicles that, all the other undertrays for the 2006 through 2010 Infiniti M45, M35, and all-wheel drive variants. So let me go underneath the vehicle and show you where this one usually goes and what purpose it serves. Well, probably would have helped if I hadn't already put something else over here so I'd show you exactly where this one goes. But just taken from me that just like that plastic piece over there, that one right there, this one would go to the front part and protect your engine. So it does, one, protection from dust, water, and all other things that maybe don't need to be in there excessively. Dust will still get into your engine, but not that bad. And two, it has aerodynamic properties, and that's good for, one, fuel economy, and two, noise. It's crazy, but actually you would notice a difference. So what happens when yours is worn and you need to replace it? You could buy a brand new one from Infiniti for about $130, give or take, or for that same cost, you could buy an aftermarket one, which is what I did. This one here came from a company called TBW, TollBoothWiley, and these guys have been making aluminum undertrays for vehicles for a lot of years. I think that one of the only ones that commercially do anything for Nissans and Infinitis, so thanks for sticking around for such a long time. And I've reviewed one of their products before, but I wanted to talk about this one in particular. It's not exactly a review, or it's not meant to be a review of the product, but I'll talk about it. This one is supposed to be a discussion, just like I've been doing, showing you the pros and cons of making whichever choice. So 130 bucks, 130 bucks. Just call it that. It could be a little more on both or on either. Last time I did the research, it was about the same. And right now, maybe I should share that when I was trying to buy this the first time, about a year or a year and a half ago, I contacted this company, but they did not get back to me. Never did. My question was, this one was made and marketed for the 2006 through 2000 and 2007 Infiniti M rear-wheel drive models. My question was it going to work in the 2008 and up, especially when they have a sport bumper? And because with the OEM ones, they got a different part number. So first, I'd like to say that yes, it does work, and I will try my best to share those details in the description box. So what we have here, again, plastic for the same cost as this metal. I like metal, nice thick aluminum. It's pretty good, but first I'd like to say, let no one lie to you that this is a skid plate. It's not a skid plate. It is an undershroud, and things still move. I think if you hit something hard enough, you probably would cause some damage. While one of the things that especially M45 owners would complain about is if they were too low and bottomed out, they would end up hitting the oil pans. The oil pans are pretty, pretty low, but I don't know. I don't know how well this one can protect, but I'll tell you, I guess it's going to hold together well enough and tear something else up. Because I know I've had a situation with like a 2006 that tore through the plastic undershroud and cracked the oil pan. So this one might give you a little better protection in that manner. Two, I know a lot of people, I think especially the V6 owners, usually buy these for ease of use or accessibility. So here's what I'm talking about. Do you see this door right here, this access door? Yeah, this one is supposed to give you access to your oil drain plug, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to get to it so that you see what it is about. Getting close. There's a loose U-nut connection. Okay. Flip it down, then pull it out. Okay, so the premise is that you're supposed to be able to drain your oil and change your, basically do your basic, essentially do your basic maintenance without having to take this Undertray out. And this one here gives you access to that plug, but for the V8 specifically, it looks like it's so close. I have a feeling that whenever you drain oil, it's going to spill right here, which makes me wonder, after making so many of these for such a long time, why don't they just move this door a little further out? So it's something I've hinted about. I don't know if this company deals with too much two-way communication. I don't want to accuse them of being deaf to any recommendations and suggestions, but maybe it is, maybe they've listened and it is a business decision that they'll keep making them like this because one, this one is optimized for the V6s, and I can't remember the layout exactly, or two, well, they already know that they're going to sell to more V6s than V8 owners, right? And the other thing about it is that for the V8s, regardless of that arrangement, our oil filter is right around here. And let me get it. There you go. Can you see that? That's the oil filter. So for someone like me, if you want to do your oil filter and drain your fluid, your oil, right? You're going to have to remove the whole tray anyway. Which, again, to me is not a big problem because I usually during maintenance times, I like to remove the whole thing, and that way I was able to check for leaks, look at the belts, look at the pulleys, and things like that. So that is either an inconvenience or inconsequential for you. It just depends on how you look at it. Personally, doesn't matter, right? So that's one thing. And now that we're talking about it, being that you have to remove it pretty often, well, depending on what often is to you, twice a year, is it once every 3 months, is it every month, whatever that means to you, I'd like you to know that this one being plastic is going to be way, way easier to handle than metal because, hey, it flexes and in different places. It is made by the people, well, it was designed along with the car. Let's put it like that. This one here, being rigid, I mean, it works for the most part, but I had to. It took a while to install it. That's what I'm gonna say. But as I said, thankfully it's metal, so it's gonna last a pretty long time. One of those durability questions is that, does it matter how long it lasts? Because this one was obviously able to last 190,000 miles. How about this one right here? Will this one last? I think being metal, yes, it will last. And the question is, at 190,000 miles, what is this one going to look like? I bet it's going to look exactly like it came, maybe just a little weathered. And on that point, I'd like to say that the fit and finish in this one was pretty good. One of the better products that I've had from this company right here. Obviously, I've bought new ones. I've bought brand new from them before. I've also bought like used from other people. This one is good. The fit, the fasteners, everything seemed to line up pretty well. I did not need to fight too many holes. When I had the M56X, the all-wheel drive, it seemed like I really needed to push and force a lot of things into place, and I think I ended up missing three fasteners just entirely because they absolutely could not get in there and I could not make it work. With this one here, the only problem that I saw, which I would say was a minor problem, was back here. Not this connection, but this one right here, right over the bend. This corner interacted a little weirdly with this part of the subframe, so I got my handy dandy tools, piece of wood, and a massager, and I was able to get it in. So I bolted it down, and I don't think I'll be having any problems for a while. This one right here. So I bolted in, and as I said, I think we're fine. Everything else seemed to work well. Talking of which, I ended up using less fasteners, for example, right here, which would usually be here on the plastic. Is it? Wait a minute. Yeah, right here on the plastic one, which would usually be here. I ended up skipping it, but again, it is metal, it is rigid, so I'm not too concerned about how well it's going to hold up in the long run, right? And you guys can hear that, right? One thing I'd like to let you guys know is that functionality, what plastic does, along with protection and aerodynamics. Remember, the top one was giving you noise protection. The bottom one does the same thing, and it is going to get a little louder with this metal. You might not be able to hear it if you're not calibrated well enough, and I guess this is one of those situations where if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, you know, blah blah blah. Thing is, it is a little louder. I mean, just listen to it already, and listen to that. Well, that's not a good example because it's on the floor, but yeah, this one is better damped than this one right here. So it's just something to pay attention to. It might or might not cause an issue to you. The shape as well. This one has some hard lines to it, and it's got these relief cuts. I think the intention was good for aeration, but as you can see, the original one doesn't really have many of those. Well, it is plastic as well, but what does that matter in this case, right? So these basically disturbances in the airflow pattern are going to cause some noise and kind of mess with your aerodynamics a little bit, but I'm not saying that it's going to cost you like 3 miles per gallon. I don't think you'll be able to notice it. Just kind of telling you, because different people will notice different things. Some people will say that thing was so loud once I install it, take it off. Some people will say, hey, my fuel economy went to crap. You know, different reasons. So whatever it is you want to get out of it, I hope you do. As I said, this was not intentionally meant to be a review of the TollBoothWiley Undertray, but rather it is a discussion of what to do if you've got Undertray issues, right? How do you take care of that? How do you handle that? And as I said, I'm going to share all the part numbers that I've gathered over the years, share them in the description box, and maybe even put them in the forum discussion. Talking of this, apart from the obvious things I've talked about, the thickness, it's metal, so it's recyclable, reusable. You can gift it to your grandkids. If your car lasts that long, you can take it off and sell it to someone like me whenever you trade your car in. I do like some other aspects of the design. Right here, back here, I've dealt with other products from the same company, that kind of interfered with this part right here. I usually call this a lifting nipple. So this one here, because of the bend right here, it allows me to use my floor jack, and my floor jack can still go onto this spot right here and lift. I've got enough space, no interruptions. Still, I have to kind of duck underneath it to see. Obviously, it's one of those I was talking about earlier where you see, it's almost like you need to jack your car with a scissor jack to be able to see what's going on. Then you can go ahead and lift securely. But no concerns about it. As I said, I don't lift for a living. I don't lift my cars for a living. If I did, maybe it would be a problem. Otherwise, I see no major issues with what we have going on. That's a lot longer than I thought I'd be talking about Undertrays. And with that, I think we should call it a night.